Integral and zero exponent. Let us recall the laws of exponent. Number 1. Product of a power. When multiplying two powers with the same base, just add the exponent. Number 2. Quotient of a power. When dividing two powers with the same base, just subtract the exponent. Number 3. Power of a power. The power rule tells us that to raise a power to a power, just multiply the exponents. Number 4. Power of a product. When product of two factors is raised to a power, the result is a product with the two factors, each having the same exponent that was the power the expression was raised to. Or you simply distribute the exponent. Number 5. Power of a quotient. It says that the power of a quotient is equal to the quotient obtained when the numerator and denominator are each raised to the indicated power separately before the division is performed, or simply distribute the exponent. Let us now simplify the following. Number 1, x raised to 5 times x raised to 2. So if you notice, we have the same base, which is x. So we will use the product of a power, which is a raised to m times a raised to n is equal to a raised to m plus n, where our a is x, our m is 5, and our n is 2. Okay, so we will add the two exponent, which is 5 and 2. So the result is x raised to 7. Next example here is x raised to 5 over x raised to 2. So we can use the quotient of a power, where a raised to m over a raised to m is equal to a raised to m minus n, where a is our x and m is 5 and n is 2. So from x raised to 5 over x raised to 2, okay, just write the base, which is x, and subtract the exponent, which is 5 minus 2. So it will give an answer of x raised to 3. Another one is simplify quantity 2 squared cubed from power of a power, which is a raised to m, quantity a raised to m raised to n is equal to a m times n. Our a is 2 and our m is 2 and n is 3. So we have here a 2 raised to 2 times 3, which is 2 raised to 6, and simplify it as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 64. The next one is quantity 3x cubed, and we will use the power of a product, wherein quantity a times b raised to m is equal to a raised to m and b raised to m. So again, this is our given. So all we need to do is to just simply distribute the power of 3 to both base. So we have 3 cubed and x cubed, where 3 cubed is also equal to 3 times 3 times 3. So the final answer is 27x cubed. Okay, so the last example here is quantity 3 over y raised to 4, and we will use the power of quotient, which is a quantity a raised over b raised to m, and that is equal to a raised to m over b raised to m, or again, you just simply distribute the power m to both base. So write the given, which is 3 over y quantity raised to 4. Then distribute the exponent. So we have 3 raised to 4 over y raised to 4. Then Then simplify 3 over 4, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. All over 4, y over 4. Then it will give you an answer of 81 over y raised to 4. Let's go on now to zero exponent. Any number or variable raised to 0 is equal to 1. Example, we have x squared over x squared. You can simply write it as x times x over x times x, or 1. Another example is a raised to 0, and that is equal to 1. X raised to 0, then y is 1 times y is y. Another one is quantity m, n raised to 0 is m raised to 0 and n raised to 0, and that is 1. Then 3 cubed, y raised to 0, z raised to 2 is x cubed times 1, then z raised to 2. So the answer is x cubed, say 2. Let's go on now to integral exponent. An expression has an integral exponent if the exponent is either positive or negative integers. Example of integral exponents are 2x, 6y cubed plus 3, x raised to negative 4, m raised to 5. Let's have an example of positive exponent. Let us simplify the following. Number 1, we have x cubed. So we have an example of variable and exponent. So the answer is also x cubed. Number 2 is 4 raised to 4. This is an example of number and exponent, and we can simplify it as 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, or 256. Let us now have an example of negative exponent. Let us now simplify. 1 is x raised to negative 3. So if you have a negative exponent, all you need to do is to inverse it to become positive exponent. So from x raised to negative 3, it will become 1 over x cubed. Another example is 4 raised to negative 4. Okay, so let us inverse it, and it will become 1 over 4 raised to negative 4. Then we will now simplify the 4 raised to negative 4, and it will become 1 over 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, and it will give an answer of 1 over 256. Next example is 1 over 2 raised to negative 3. So it will become 2 cubed over 1, or 2 cubed. Then it will become 2 times 2 times 2, and that is equal to 8. Let us now express the following expression into non-zero and non-negative exponents. Simplify your answer. Number 1 is quantity 25xyz raised to 0 is 1. Number 2 is 6, quantity 12abc raised to 0, and it will become 6 times 1 is equal to 6. Number 3 is 2, a raised to negative 2, b raised to 4, and c raised to negative 4. So remember that if you have a negative exponent, all you need to do is to inverse it. And the positive, what are you going to do? Just remain them into their position. So the positive exponent here is 2 and b raised to 4. So that will remain in their position, and inverse the negative part, which is a raised to 2 and c raised to 4. Alright? The last example here, we have 3x raised to 5, y raised to negative 2, and z raised to 4, all over 2a raised to negative 3 and b. So if you notice, we have the positive exponent, which is 3x raised to 5 and z raised to 4 in the numerator. And in the denominator, we have 2 and b. So all of them will remain in their position from numerator and denominator. Then y raised to negative 2, okay, will inverse, and it will be in the denominator, and a raised to negative 3 will inverse, and it will be in numerator. So we have 3a cubed x raised to 5 and z raised to 4. Then write it in alphabetical order. Then 2by raised to 2.